Hello and welcome. What would this be? Maybe like a viewer submitted question? Whatever I end up calling this. Probably be something very intelligent, as I'm one to do. Okay, I'm just gonna jump into it because I don't have a lot of space left on this memory card. So this is, for all intents and purposes, a K1000. As you can see, it's missing a lot of the very important details, and eagle-eyed viewers will notice that it only goes up to a 500 shutter speed on the dial because, yeah, that was the only spare dial I had left, I think. Yeah, and I just thought it'd be kind of funny. But there is an empty space here that actually serves as like a denotation for 1/1000 shutter speed, because it'll still fire at that speed, but we're not talking about that, so I'm just going to stop sidetracking myself. We're going to talk about getting this out and replacing it. But I do another video, I'll have one coming out where you see me kind of take all of it off and then also rearrange the curtains. It was a mess, but this is very simple. So imagine, actually I do have, here's my prism. This is a very bad prism. This is my example for the really bad K1000 prisms. You'll see it in like the plastic top ones most commonly. So let's just imagine that the prism is sitting on here like this. And this is just for my convenience sake, and you might find it easier to do it this way as well, but I prefer to keep the prism on. And then there's going to be this little front thing that sits on here with little retention things that go down into here. And I just personally prefer to keep all of that on and just remove it wholesale. So that's there, great. First what we're gonna do is we're gonna take off these two screws. These are these screws back here. I will show them to you. They're a little bit bigger. And this is what holds the light resistors and the cells in place and everything like that. And then also the glass, the viewfinder. So we'll just move that over to the side because we don't necessarily need that. I'm gonna pop the glass out just so it doesn't fall later. There are 4 screws, 1, 2, a very small screw right here. Let's see if you can see that. Right there, very tiny, and then one back here. So we're gonna remove those. It doesn't matter what order you take them out in. What does matter is where they go. So make note of that. Okay. And then the question was, can you remove this while keeping this there? Things you want to be careful of. These wires here, you don't want to separate them from there just because not easy to solder back on. I mean, easy enough if you're good at soldering. I'm still learning. So this is loose, as you can tell. There are 2 screws over here. And what's great about these is that they're marked red, so you'll always remember where they go. Okay, we're also gonna want to take off the circuit board here. And this sounds very complicated, but I assure you that it's not. So there's a screw, a washer. You'll need a flathead screwdriver to remove this. So there's a thing here, but this is gonna sit in like this, and that will sit in this little notch right there. And then the longer portion of it will sit right here for tension, and that's what's gonna hold the little plunger thing in place for the back door. So now that that's all out, we're going to lift this very carefully, and you probably want to not remove the red screws until you've done all this, because Yeah, actually, yeah, let me take that back. Keep the red screws in until the very last bit, pull it out, unscrew them, and then you're going to want to pull it out. Basically do the opposite of what I just did there. But yeah, that's basically it. When you're putting it back in, you're going to want to make sure that the needle sits underneath. Yeah, underneath the bracket. So it'll just slide right in there. And to put it back in, reverse order, you're just going to line it up, and you really want to be careful because this needle is very thin and very fragile. So you're just going to put it in like so. That will sit somewhat comfortably. You want to make sure that you're not cramping down any of these wires like I just did, because that would be bad. That will sit there. Okay, the finishing touches. When you're putting the prism back on, if you don't see where the little bracket things that hold it in place go, there's a little hole right there, and then there's a hole right there. And they just pull in and they'll hook right into there. It actually kind of goes just around here. So that way it holds the prism in place. You're going to want to make sure that you also tighten the little set screws. When you're putting the glass back in, the flat part goes back like so. And if you're like me, then you just let the little plunger thing fall into the camera. So to open up the back without it in there, there's these two little things there. You just kind of put your screwdriver in there, lift up, and then you'll be rewarded. It's like a Easter egg. And just to be abundantly clear with this, so it sits around this. The short side goes in here, and then the long side goes all the way over here, right there. And then that will hold this in place. So, that is that. I hope that this video helps make the process that much easier. Remember to ask any questions below. I'll do my best to answer them. You can email me if you need further help. I will answer as quick as possible. And yeah, I appreciate you watching. I love getting the feedback, so thank you for that. Keep it coming. And I think that'll do it. So I will catch you on the next one.